Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sibylla Muti, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Oh, great girlfriends. Oh, happy Wednesday. And what a marvelous time I've been having on the show. My guests have just been blowing my mind with all their insights and their wisdom and just all the nuggets that I'm personally taking. So I surely hope you've been getting as much as I've been getting. And thank you for leaving your magnificent iTunes reviews. So this week, I am truly excited because, one of the themes of our show is about friendship and that connection and what it means and how, to really optimize the relationships that you have with your great girlfriends. Can you have it all? Can you work together? Can you balance the connection and build great business? Can you explore all the facets of your friendship and still have friendship? And so my guest today has managed to build a partnership with one of her great girlfriends that has created exponential impact in business. And I'm just going to read you her bio so that I can share more about Deborah Smith today. So Debra is the co-founder and principal of the CenterCap Group, LLC, and heads the firm's strategic capital and M&A and execution efforts. Prior to forming the CenterCap Group, LLC, Ms. Smith was co-head of M&A and a senior managing director with CB Richard Ellis Investors. She joined CB Richard Ellis Investors in July 2007 to co-head and build out the firm's M&A efforts and led the firm's negotiation and acquisition of a majority interest in Wood Partners in 2008. From 1998 to 2007, Ms. Smith worked on mergers and acquisitions with Lehman Brothers, Wachovia Securities, and Morgan Stanley. Ms. Smith has been involved in more than $100 billion in mergers, acquisitions, and restructuring transactions. Wow. Ms. Smith has a Bachelor of Economics with honors and a Bachelor of Law with honors from the University of Sydney. Okay. First word that comes to mind is wow. All right. So Debra, welcome to the show.
It sounds like I don't get any sleep.
It sounds like it just sounds like you're just passing businesses and money all day. You're like business money. Like you're just like the transaction queen. Wow.
Yeah. It's certainly a mouthful. And when you hear it back to yourself, it's like, wow, that person sounds like they don't get a lot of sleep and they don't have much of a life.
Okay, so do you get any sleep?
Some days are better than others.
Okay.
I would say, it's life as a business owner. I'm not sure I work any more or less hours than when I was in one of the mega investment banks on Wall Street. I just do it on my own terms. And that is the difference. And I think where I can still do what I love, but when I do it for myself in my own framework, it allows me to stay married, to still have friends, to raise my children, and to do all the other things that are important to me without having to compromise, a desire to work and desire to have a career. When I had my own kids, there was never any thought I would not work or I would not stop working. And so I just needed to figure out, how am I going to do everything? And what have I got to do to make that happen? So, which leads me here today. But I can say I get more sleep than when I had each of my children, if that's a comparison.
Yeah. Boy, new moms, I'm like, oh my God, I am praying for you because what a stage, right? Like
I could not do it. I see babies, and I have 4 kids, and I see babies.
You have 4?
Yeah. And I see women with children, and I'm like, that baby's really cute, but I'm so glad it's not me.
I'm so glad. People ask me, would you like to have more children? I'm like, no, because I don't want to deal with newborns. Like I like them at a certain age and stage. And I really am happy that my kids sleep through the night.
Yeah, I am too. I'm glad. I love all 4 of them, but it's a handful. And it goes from little problems to big problems as they get older. But I do not, I got to be honest, I don't really miss the baby phase a whole lot, because I found that the babies, they have a wonderful ability to assess when you're busy and you just need to get something done. And they will cry like there's no tomorrow, just to make sure. It's like they have this vibe that can tell that you're just like, shh, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. They don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah, so
you can't even use the bathroom. They're right outside the door. That's how they move. They're waiting on you.
Exactly right.
I want to know this from you because when I look at all the work that you've done, and I knew there were a couple of children. I didn't know there were 4. So now I'm like, wow. And I know that you've built a partnership with a longtime friend, and I know that you're a woman on a mission. I'd like to know from you, do you think that women can have it all?
Yes. I do. And when I started in the business, I thought back at a young age when I wasn't married and I didn't have kids and it was just me and my career. I honestly thought that I could have it all, but I couldn't have it all at the same time. So I kind of mentally said, well, you things will happen in their progression. But the concept of just making it all work, I just kind of fell into it and made things happen and work for me. And I don't think I've ever taken the time to ever say, you know what, I can or can't have this. This is just what I'm doing. And so I've been, I had my first 3 children the first 2 are at different firms. I had my first when I was young at Morgan Stanley, and it was unheard of back then to have a child at the age I was. And I just did things my own way. And a lot of things I got lucky, I think, because I had great relationships with my colleagues. I had great relationships with my friends and with my family and now with my husband. And everyone's kind of ensured that it could work. It could work. And I think for people who are really good at what they do, people will make things work for you. They just will. Right. You shouldn't have to apologize, and don't apologize. I mean, it was my expectation that it was going to work. So I don't think anybody said, oh, well, maybe it should or maybe it shouldn't. People just went with the flow because I just kept on going and I kept on doing my thing.
Okay. So speaking of your thing, you legit have a thing. Business is your thing. Managing investments is your thing.
Yes.
Transacting with money at the highest level is your thing. How does that become your thing, Debra? Because there's mastery here. And I also hear from you a sense of humanity, and I hear from you a sense of self-awareness and connection. So I don't feel that you've lost anything while also doing your thing. So how did you? Yeah.
Well, I fell into banking, and when I graduated from college, I was probably going to be a tax attorney, and applied to Morgan Stanley. I didn't know anything about banking. I hadn't done finance at all, and so I hadn't even seen a financial statement. And so I fell into it, and at that time, I think I got a little lucky that the person that interviewed me, there was just a connection. We liked each other, and I had grown up on a dairy farm, and so my background was very different to anyone else that was interviewing, and anyone else that I went to college with just had a very different background to me. And so I think that kind of resonated because the way, you have to grow up really fast when you grow up in the community I did. I mean, we didn't really have any money, and we didn't have a whole lot. And so everyone had to pitch in, and you're forced as a young age to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. And so I think that kind of set me apart a little bit into my approach to the world and how I presented myself, and a little rough around the edges, no doubt. But so I fell into it. And then, one thing led to another, and they moved me to the States, and I did a good job here, and they promoted me here, and the rest went on from there. But I can say, I honestly love this business, and all these fortuitous events that have occurred were a gift. I knew I was decent. I was good at math, but I never contemplated when I was in high school it was going to be a career at all. It just wasn't in the cards. And so I've fallen into it, and I've progressed with it, and I've took it on to be the best I can at what I'm doing. And so I've persevered because it is a tough space, and it's incredibly male dominated. It's very male dominated. And I grew up in the energy sector, which is even more male dominated, and just went with the flow and just went with it, which has led me here today. And it's interesting. I know very few people that I started with that are still doing this job today. Very few.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because of is the turnover high, or stress? And okay.
Hours, we were working 100 hours a week for a long time, and the long hours, and the unpredictability and the commitment to the job. It is taxing. But I think I'm slightly crazy. And so I thrive, I guess, on the energy and the deal making. I love the deal making. And I really enjoy the negotiation and the chess game and moving things around. And I enjoy that kind of stuff. So I've stuck with it all these years, and now I have my own firm. And it's still as much fun today as when I started out of college, which is 25 years ago.
Wow.
It seems crazy. I don't know where the time is.
The time moves so fast. And then when you add kids, they are time snatchers. So they definitely need to,
You've got that right. They're definitely time snatchers. That is definitely the case, without question.
So I think about this, the thing that you have mastery in is a point of opportunity for a lot of women, which is a negotiation. And an indicator is the wage gap and the numbers that we're dealing with. Women make significantly less than men, particularly women of color are, make a lot less than their male counterparts. What is it about the negotiation, that the mastery of negotiation, that you think women can gain, that you really have kind of taken head on? And, how can we utilize that in our everyday approach to really getting the best out of what we want in our careers?
Yeah, that's a good question. To me, I think one of the things that has helped me is that I don't second guess my decisions. I don't. And I find, particularly women have a tendency to second guess their decisions.
Yes.
Wondering if they made the right choice. If. I don't do that. I just don't. And I was given a piece of advice by a senior woman very early in my career when I was just an analyst. I had only been in banking a couple of years. And she said to me, Deb, when you progress through banking, women, once you make a decision, you stick with it and don't look back. And what will happen. And you're smart enough, you'll figure it out. So if it doesn't turn out the way you want, you will figure it out. Because the thing is, women have amazing intuition, which is code for judgment. We really do. We're so good at assessing information and making a call. But then we go back and unwind our decision. We wonder if it was the right call. Do we need to spend more time thinking about it? Stop. Women, stop doing that, right? Go with your gut instinct. Go with what feels good. And 9 out of 10 times you're on the money and you save so much time in being efficient. And guess what? If it doesn't turn out the way you want, you'll figure it out. You really will.
That's
Just
right.
trust yourself. You will figure it out. And I think if more of us do that, then you will get a lot more done. You'll be a lot more confident in the decisions you make because you own it and you're moving forward with it. And I've raised all my kids in my house the same way. And I think if you asked any of them, and probably my colleagues too, they would say the most common line from me is, why are we still talking about this? I already made a decision. Why?
Ooh, I like that.
Why are we still talking about this? Didn't we already resolve this? We talked about it.
Yeah.
We made a decision. Let's move on. That's yesterday's news. And I think
that resonates with me. Woo.
You gotta do it. You're smart. Women are so smart. We just don't trust our instincts enough. And we should.
Yeah.
We should. That's my first, and it's stuck with me all these years. And some days, because we negotiate billion-dollar deals all the time. And our clients rely on us to give them advice. And there are plenty of times I cross my fingers and my toes and hope I've made the right call. But I don't second guess it and I don't go back. I'm like, it's done. And I just hope it's the right call because there is so much writing on the calls I make that the consequences are high if I'm wrong. They turn out, but it's a trust that we'll figure it out once we get there.
That's so good. That's so good. Great girlfriends. Why are we still talking about that? I made a choice. That's yesterday's news. That's so good.
That's
It's
what
so
you should
good.
tell your kids too. All the moms out there.
Yes.
That's what you should
Yeah.
tell your kids.
Yeah.
Didn't we already resolve this? I already
Yes.
talked about it. I already said no. Decisions made. Move on. It's like,
Yes. Let's move
and we should do
on.
more of it. We should do more of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
Deborah, I talk to great girlfriends a lot about asking the right questions will lead you to the right solutions. And
Mhm.
I firmly believe that when it's time for you to grow in your leadership or in your decision making, the indicators tend to be pressure, and that pressure leads you
Yes.
to ask for help. It doesn't mean quit, it means it's an invitation to ask for help.
Yeah.
And then you asking certain questions can be a gateway. Well, what have been some of the questions that you've asked along the way to help guide and steer you, not even just professionally, but personally, because there is the harmony that we seek to have in having it all and in its right portion. And then how did you know that it was time for you to start your own firm and invite a great girlfriend to jump on that journey with you?
Good questions. So I'll start with the end first. I have two business partners, both women. So we're keeping it all in the family. And both of
Uh-huh.
them I've known a very long time. One of my partners who didn't found the business with, but has since joined, I've known
Mhm.
her as long as I've been in the United States, almost as long. I was here maybe a year, so which is over 20 years at this point. And so I moved with her across three firms before we parted
Wow.
ways, and now we're regrouped. And
Mhm.
she has been a stable in my kids' lives. We're family friends. And so it's been a wonderful experience working alongside of her. The person
Mhm.
I founded with, June, we again have been across four firms together again.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, and in fact, the three of us traveled in a pack across a couple of firms together as well. And so once you find connections, we really should protect them and don't take them for granted, because to find
Right.
good relationships is really hard. It's really, really hard. And I find that, as we go through life, if you can find people you trust, and I trust impeccably both my partners, then you hold on to them and you protect
Mhm.
that relationship and you value the contribution they make, because I
Mhm.
think it's too easy after time to take things like that for granted. And we shouldn't, because they're so hard to replace. They are so, so
Mhm.
hard. And so when June and I
Mhm.
started the firm, we had already been across three firms together already. We traveled in that pack. And it was a case of, well, should we give it a go? We have very complementary skills and we value each other's contribution immensely. And neither one of us, and I think it's part of why it's worked, I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about so much the value she brings and weighing it versus my own. I look at it more in terms of the value of what something brings that I don't want to do, right? And her function,
Mhm. That's good.
I, I don't want her to do her job. Our jobs are very
Yeah.
complementary. I don't
Yeah.
like her job, and she doesn't like mine. And
I love it.
the value, how do you price what you don't want to do, right? If someone will
Yeah.
do something you don't want to do, what's the value of that? And
Oh
when
my
you start
goodness.
appreciating from that perspective, it puts a whole new lens on things. And then
Mhm.
you become incredibly grateful every day for what they're doing, in part because of the
Mhm.
great work they do, but also in part because I don't have to do it. So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
love
Mhm.
that. I love that aspect. So as a result, we coexist. We're fundamentally different. All three of us are very different people, but we figure stuff out because we bring a contribution that the other doesn't. And it's a
Mhm.
case of, well, where do we meet? She probably makes me a little bit softer on the edges, and I probably make her
Mhm.
harder on the edges. But
Mhm.
together, you end up coming up with ideas and strategies and things that end up bringing the best of both worlds. And that's what's
Mhm.
really cool, is that we both bring something to the table, but when you combine it, it becomes a 1+1 is 3. And again, that
Yeah.
has huge value. But it means, I love what I do. and we have a lot of fun. We talk constantly all day. And, we go on vacation together. The three partners and our spouses are all very good friends. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, I feel so blessed that I get to have it all. And I get up every day and I get to sit at my desk and I get to work with these people. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I love that. We're going to take just a quick second, Deb, to hear from our sponsors. Great girlfriends, as a person with color-treated hair, the struggle can be real. There is no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to hair care. One product might work well for me, but it might not work well for you. However, thanks to my personalized Pros routine, I can honestly say I've never been more in love with my hair. Pros makes custom hair care that's effective because it's personal. Using natural ingredients with proven results, Pros customizes every product in your routine from shampoo to supplements. First, Pros starts by asking about you as a person with their in-depth consultation. Pros ask me really unexpected things like, what do you eat on a daily basis? What is your zip code? What is the damage level on your hair? What is your fitness routine? Next, Pros analyzed all of my answers and determined what unique blend of ingredients should be in every product of my custom routine. Together, Pros got all of my hair goals covered, and I am so happy about it. If you're not 100% positive Pros is the best hair care you've had, they will take the products back, no questions asked. Psh, who else can offer you that kind of routine and product guarantee? Pros is the healthy hair regimen with your name all over it. Take your free in-depth hair consultation and get 15% off of your first order today. Go to pros.com/greatgirlfriends. That's PROSE.com/greatgirlfriends for your free in-depth hair consultation and 15% off. Okay, so we've talked about all the advantages of that full plate that you have, and that is, being unapologetically present in everything that life has had to offer you, and it's been so rewarding. What have been some of the complexities that you've had to overcome as a woman, as a leader, as a wife, as a mother, a friend, as an advocate? What have been some of the complexities for you?
Well, I think many times is that if I only had to do one of these things, I could probably do it better. So I feel like, there are many days where I've had to give a little bit across each of these three, staying married, having kids, and being a good mom and running a business. Could I do one of those if all I had was that thing? Probably. And so Do I think maybe I have to give a little bit? I probably do. And do I get to go to every single kids event? No. Do I have to figure out, do I get mad when I have to do a trade-off? I sure do. But I have a great husband too, and we are very joint parents in raising our kids, very, very much joint. And so I think that's a huge help. There's no expectation in our house that I will do something and he will do something else. We kind of figure it out. But having to juggle that is hard. For the girlfriends out there, when I say you can have it all, you don't sleep a lot and it's stressful. And I think it's a lot of hard work in order to balance it, because the logistics, particularly the logistics, there's only 24 hours in a day. And the logistics of managing and the decisions that go on in a regular day, it's by the end of it, my brain is fried. And I certainly have earned a glass of wine.
I love that, because people talk so much about the morning routine. What is your evening routine? That's the part I want to know.
Evening routine. And so I'm a very hands-on parent with making sure my kids are on track on a go-forward basis with school, and all our kids play sports. But at dinner, I do like to sit back, and my husband and I cook dinner together. And I don't do the cleaning. The kids have to do the cleaning. But we cook dinner together. We debrief on our day. I have a glass of wine. We sit down and try and get some quiet time. But our days end up going long. We end up they're very long in the evening in order to get that time. Because I'm as part of the whole having it all concept, for the girlfriends out there, it's you got to carve out time for you and your spouse. You do. You can't let your kids and your career consume everything. And so even since our kids were small, we've always pushed our kids into bed early on the basis that we need us time. And it can't be at 11 o'clock at night, right? So it has to be earlier where you can sit down and detox, say, hey, what's going on? How was your day? And just really get to enjoy that moment, because it's very easy to give them up because kids and careers are so demanding that you have to figure out how to bring that in so you don't become strangers in your own house.
So true. And the quality matters.
The quality matters.
Not pressed time. It's quality time.
Correct. And so we cook because we like to cook. And so we every night we cook every night except on weekends. Even I need a break so we don't cook on weekends. But it's that moment to detox, enjoy each other's company while we cook dinner, and then we make our kids clean up the house.
Right, and that lightens the load.
Yeah, you come to my house, you can dirty as many dishes as you want.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's so funny. Just the other night, my kids go, we're going to cook tonight because they wanted less dishes because they say I used to cook.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a double win, I suppose, if you're going to cook, because I'm eating salad anyway. So you can go ahead and cook, and I don't care. I don't care how it gets done, as long as it's done,
That is terrific. Yeah. And I will share a little secret is, so we do regular plates, et cetera, on weekends, and we do a family dinner every Sunday night. So we have a big roast, we have a big something every Sunday night. So Sunday is a sacrament in their house. There's no work, no sports, no nothing. We eat family dinner. But on those nights during the week, we use paper plates. Call me a bad friend. I don't care. You want to know how I do it all? That's how I do it. I have paper plates.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's the thing. What I've learned, Deborah, and I feel like you embody a lot of this, is that the how can be so muddy, and I'm okay with the muddy how as long as the outcome is met. We don't get to control all the parts of the process, and we want to, decomplicate, simplify as much as possible. Right. Yeah. And so it sounds like you have learned, you're like, to make things more simple for everyone. If I don't love it and you love it, then you do it.
Yeah.
And that makes our business even more full, and it gives us more reach, and it allows us to stay at our points of competency, and even in your personal life, it feels like that's sort of some of the, I love that.
Yes.
I do love that. I love this all, you have it all, you have a fully all-inclusive world. When you talk about your business partners also being your friends, and you all vacation together, and your children are all, so everyone's on this mission together. So there's no one that's really feeling, like they're an enemy to the plan, or that they're not included in what's happening in the family,
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And I tell you something about it is when you, and I do a lot of, I like to talk about financial literacy, particularly amongst children. And when you take that approach of making things all encompassing, and our kids know what my husband and I do for a living, in those moments at dinner when they say, how's your day? And you normally want to say, it's fine, it's good. And answer that because you're tired. It's, a few years ago, we started actively talking about our days and what we're doing, because a woman had given me some advice and said, it's really important that your kids understand what you do. And because it'll help them set up to start thinking about the next steps in life and where they want to go. If you make them part of what you do, don't carve out a part of your life from them. And so we talk about those things over dinner. And when they ask me what I do, instead of, blowing them off and not wanting to answer, now, we talk about my day, and we talk about the things that are going on. And what's come out of that, and which I think has been a side benefit and completely unintended, is that our kids don't appreciate difference between men and women having careers, or who's at home and who's not, who's going to work and who's not, and who's supposed to do dishes and who's not. They think we're all in the same playing field because they don't know any different. They don't know any different. And so, and I realize that's really amazing particularly for young girls that want to grow up and go into a field that is deemed male dominated, that I'm in one, but my kids don't know that because they see me talking about it and they see me do it. And so it doesn't even cross their mind. And so when they get older, if they want to do it, I don't think it would occur to them to even consider, should I or shouldn't I, or
Gender.
to notice that 80% of your class are men and only 20% are women. They probably won't notice the numbers because they've never been raised to think of anything other than men and women can pretty much do what the other does and just as well. And so they've grown up with that mentality as a result. And I think that's one of the side cool things of just having this all-inclusive, making everyone part of the journey of where you want to go in life.
That's such a big piece of your legacy too, is that you have given your kids more options to create more norms than they've ever seen in the world, because they've been subject to, a little bit more of acceptance of equality across gender roles. And so they will just want to do the good and do the work, and they won't. So I love that. It's similar structure in our household where everyone's hands are involved, and if it's dirty, anyone can clean it. And we talk about, we're going through hormonal changes in my household, and we're talking about that as a unit, not just me talking to my daughter about what's to come, me talking to my son about what's to come, so that he can be more empathetic towards, girls in his grade who are experiencing things that, we go through in our different stages of life. And so I'm learning more than I teach as a mom. I think, have you realized that the quote goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I feel that our teachers are here, right? And they have certainly taught me more than I'm teaching them. I wouldn't have known to consider any of this had it not been for motherhood and my desire to see my kids approach the world more open,
Yes. I think you look at the world very differently when you're a parent. And you really do, because you become colored by the innocence of children and the questions they ask and the mistakes they make, that they're my constant reminder. I'm not as great at this parenting thing as sometimes I think I am. And I go, oh my gosh, I'm so amazing. And then, they'll do something dumb. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just not as good at this as I thought. And so it's that constant humbling experience. They are my constant reminders that, you can have it all, but there are bumps in the road and nothing involves perfect execution. There's always going to be mistakes on the way, and there's going to be things that go sideways, but they also remind you things that you think are just obvious to us because we have lives of experience. It's not to them. It's not to them. And they're my constant reminder to take a step back and just remember the world through a child's eyes. And what I can do too is to see the roadblocks or to see around the corner that's coming, is how can I help prepare them for what is to come without, and it's a balance, without trying to take away their own desire to learn themselves. Because there is a balance, right? Because you want to educate, you want to help them, and you want to pave the way. But there are plenty of times that they say, Mom, I got this. I don't need your help. I got this. Right. I will figure it out. I need to learn this by myself and figure it out my own way. And that's hard for a mom that's, that is trying to have it all and accomplish all of these things. It's to step back and not to be overbearing. And there is some balance there. Because the problem with making decisions all the time too is I make a decision, move on, make a decision, move on. And sometimes, the kids may want to talk about things a little bit more. Or they want to, explore things a little bit more. And my brain's already moved on. And so there is a balance there with kids that they're not adults and they've still got their own journey. And they got their own journey of learning to do. And how you balance that is, I don't think I don't know if I've got that right. Every day is a learning for me. It's a learning experience for me. I'm just trying to, as I say to the kids, I'm just trying to survive here. Okay. Cut me some slack. Just trying to
That's right. Yeah. I'm trying to make it through this choice. I'm trying to, really mitigate risk as best as possible. I'm just trying. And we as parents we're at the intersection of yesterday, the past, the present, and the
Yeah,
future. We
that
really
is so
sit
smart.
right. And aren't we a
Yeah.
bridge between all three? And
Yes.
I look at that and it has really framed how I approach my womanhood and my contributions. What type of contributions do you feel you're making differently as a woman, being a mom in this male dominated world? What do you think are some of the different ways that you kind of maybe open more doors for more women, maybe approach your mission and the gender placement in any of that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I have done a bunch of work either with children or with kids who are in college. And
Mhm.
as I've gotten more senior in my career, I've realized I've gotten to the top and there aren't a whole lot of women around me. I look around now and I'm like, hang on a second. And I didn't notice as much because my partners are women, but very few of
Mhm.
our clients are women. And I haven't
Mm.
operated a whole lot at that, where there's women around for many years, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so I look at that, and what I find as I've gotten here is I've tried to look back and say, well, what are the things that helped get me here? It's
Yeah.
what did I do in order to get here along the way? And I've talked a lot, particularly with college kids, about mentors. And I
Mhm.
think for women, mentors can be really important if you can find strong women to surround
Mhm.
yourself with. And I think there are two kinds of women to me in this world once you get to a senior level. There's either the women who want to go out of their way to help you because they want to make your path a little easier. Or there's the women
Mhm.
who say, well, I had to work really hard to get here, so can you, right? It's one of those
Mhm.
two
Mhm.
camps. And I've met both throughout my career.
Yeah.
But I think for women, for mentors, have a mix. You should have male mentors too, because they do look
Mhm.
at the world differently. And if you can
Yes.
appreciate their perspective, it's hugely valuable to you. But you can
Yeah.
get women mentors too, because between the two of them, they give an all encompassing view of the world. It's like two sides of a
Mhm.
coin. And you
That's
can
right.
marry those advice and learn to approach relationships and problem solving and strategy by combining those two things. Because when I look
Yeah.
back at the advice I've taken over the years to get me here, it's come from both different kinds
Mhm.
of advice,
Mhm.
but it's definitely come from both. And so
Mhm.
and I had done a podcast and someone had asked me about mentors and had called me after and said, well, how do you get a mentor? I'm like, well, that's a great question. How do you get a mentor? And I think, to address it is to find people you like, right? Liking tends
Mhm.
to be mutual. So find someone you like who's in a senior spot and invest in the relationship, invest in it because it
Mhm.
can't be a
Mhm.
one-way street, and invest
Yeah.
in it. Ask questions, reach out to them, show you're interested. And you will find that and women in particular, if you're willing to invest in that relationship, they'll invest back. We have a
Mhm.
tendency to
Mhm.
invest back. So when someone calls me and takes the time to reach out, then
Mhm.
I'm willing to invest in that relationship because they are. And if you think
Yeah.
about your life, and I think about mine, you invest in your marriage, you invest in your kids, you invest in your career, you invest in
Mhm.
things you care about. And if someone's
Mhm.
willing to invest in it and show they care about it, it's the easiest path to create those relationships. And once you
Yeah.
get them, if it's good, don't give up on it. You hold on to it and you foster it
Mhm.
and you culture it over years to come. And you'll find that relationship will absolutely pay you back.
Oh, I love that. That is, I can think of the fruit of those relationships over and over again. And even as I mentor women, it has been that very same methodology of showing interest and being passionate about the relationship or wanting to have the relationship. It comes back in the form of relationship. It really does.
Yes,
It really, really does.
absolutely. And
Yeah,
and we're good. I mean, if you think about it too, women are great at relationships. We're really good at it, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Because we
yeah,
care. We care and we're willing to emotionally invest in it. And
yeah.
because of that, we can take an enormous joy in seeing the successes of others. And I
Mhm.
have two partners that are like that, that are happy for me every day on things when
Mhm.
it's going great. But here's the test: when things aren't going great, they are the strongest support network They really are.
Yeah.
And a common line is, well, can I vent for 30 seconds? It's, they help through the long days and the tough days because there are ups and downs. And whether it's personal or professional or just about anything in life, that I have an open channel to talk to them. And I really do feel we're three cornerstones of a stool, and we're stronger because of each other. And we help each other rise, and we help each other progress. And I think as women, we're great at that. And so, find those mentors, but also supplement it with guys, but have a different expectation, right?
Yeah.
Just a different expectation because they're wired differently, but they can bring as much value to your life, just like a spouse does, but in a different way. And so as a result, marry the two and have different kinds of people and talk to them about different things. And the collective advice, I think, will just be amazing. It's just amazing.
That's so good. I love that. Okay, Deb, I would keep you all day, but I know you have 1,000 hats that you wear.
So do you.
Which one is it? We have to switch hats and put on the other hat and put on the next hat.
Right.
Where can our great girlfriends keep up with you? Where can they support the work that you're doing and learn more about, you and how you show up in the world?
That's great. Thank you for asking. So I'm on LinkedIn. One of the downsides of not having having all those hats is I really am not big on social media except LinkedIn. Only so much I can do in a day. So I'm there. Our companies, there's a CenterCap Group is on there as well. And, I post all kinds of things for work, things that I find inspiring, things when I see, I think that's so amazing. I'd love to share it with people who I'm connected with. And so look me up. And we also have a website, www.thecentercapgroup.com. We can go there for the business stuff. But, the cool stuff, when I see something insightful, goes on my own LinkedIn because, it's not business related all the time.
Yeah.
So the cool things come up and I love to share those things when I do. So check them out.
I love that. We're going to chase you down on LinkedIn. It's been such a pleasure to meet you and connect with you and hear your philosophy on how you approach life and your commitment to your passion for everything and being willing to be so transparent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and such a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun, actually. So credit to you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's my goal. I love that. I want to be the most fun part of every person's day. I hope that I can offer that.
You are the fun part of my day today. This has been a wonderful end, a wonderful end. So thank you.
Awesome. Great to have you, Deb. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great girlfriends. Did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends. Follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at @the_great GFS. I'm Sibylla Muti and I'm out. Peace.